All right, guys, we got a wonderful treat for you today. So I'm taking you back to my CFL roots, Canadian Football League. For all of you that don't know, I did have a chance to go and play in the Canadian Football League after I finished up my years at Liberty. I played with the BC Lions, and I had a chance to live in uh, Vancouver, BC, for a little bit. And man, what a wonderful experience I had during that time. I met a lot of wonderful people. I really did. People, teammates I still talk to this day. And also, there's some personnel people, some front office people that I may talk to on occasions, but this guy that we have today has always been a constant. We don't talk as much, but when we do, it's always a very pleasant conversation. He doesn't know it, but he was one of my reasons as far as ending my career. He helped me in my career in football, and we'll talk about that too. Remember that when we was in Hamilton, Craig? When I came and work out that one time.
Yeah.
And I tore my
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about that too. But yeah, Craig Smith. He's is a former, or you still in player personnel?
I'm not,
Okay,
leukemia.
right. Well, he's had a very a very very nice career in the front office, player personnel. I know he's been a director a couple spots. I know he's been a national scout a few times. It's just a very positive, very outgoing. When you're around him, it makes you feel wonderful. I don't have one bad experience with Craig, and that's saying a lot because there are a lot of egotistical people in coaching, especially when you talk about in the playing ranks. But Craig is definitely not like that. A ray of sunshine. So I definitely want to introduce Craig Smith. What role did you play when we was together in BC, Craig? What was your role at that
At
time?
that time, I was the player personnel coordinator.
Okay,
We had Bob Obilovich, who was the director of player personnel.
that's who signed me. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bob was he had been in our league. He played in our league. He
Right.
was a head coach, won a Grey Cup as a head coach, and then got into player personnel. And yeah, we went to the Grey Cup the year that you were there, and talk about a lot of fun. It was fantastic.
Yeah, we'll get more into that year. This was 2004,
Yep.
I do believe, and we'll talk
Yep.
more about that. But for our audience, Craig, tell us how you got into football. What were your roots? How did you get started?
Way back, my dad took me to my first game. I was 6 years old, and I was hooked. Like I loved the game, and I was essentially a fan for so many years. I went to many Grey Cups. I played. I fractured my neck. I got away from the game, but still watched it on television. Watched everything, you name it. I've got books from way back, NCAA, Street and Smiths, and then obviously
Now
NFL.
you're an avid fan. You're an avid fan of the game of athletics.
I was,
Period.
I was crazy. I was just, and my mom used to get all mad because I had all these papers with rosters like that all over, and she'd give me heck, Craig, come on, but started that way, and then we lived in Winnipeg, which is in central Canada. If you drove straight down Winnipeg, you'd go to Fargo, North Dakota, where North Dakota State is, and obviously program there.
Right.
Lived there for 30 years, and I was a computer operator. I took a computer course and got in as a computer operator, and it was shift work. It was good money, but it was shift work. And we moved out to Vancouver, and just to get away from the cold, in central Canada, it's pretty darn cold. So
yeah,
we moved out there. I got a job at the University of British Columbia. And for the first 2 years there, we traveled all over. We went down to San Francisco a couple of times. We went up to Whistler, all these different places in British Columbia, Washington State a ton. And then in 1990, I was sitting on my butt in the computer room, and you know how you get the papers, the newspaper, and it's got notice board. Well, I looked at it, and they said, you know what, we want coaches. And then it had the number. And I thought, man, that'd be pretty cool. I love this game. I know a ton, and so I called, and the guy said, well, you know what, we got an opening for a Pee Wee coach. And I went, Pee Wee? I want to, I want to coach the older guys. And he said, well, that's what we got. Why don't you come out and do it? Well, I did. July, I'll never forget it. It was July the 1st, Canada's birthday, 1990. I went out there, and that changed my life
Right.
because I started to get into coaching. And when I went in there, remember I just said, I thought I knew a ton. Well, boy, did I need to learn. I needed
Right.
to learn so much. When I was playing, I was always interested in techniques, but I needed more. So in 1990, they paid to get my. In Canada, they have this certification for coaching,
Right.
so they paid me to get my certification, and at the same time, I would go down. Vancouver, we're real
Right.
close to Seattle, so I go down to Seattle in clinics, University of Washington, all of a number of different places, just to try to learn the game. I went to bookstores to get books on the game of football, of you name it, even the basic,
Right.
basic books. I would still, okay, that and just to help me, so that the kids could get better. And then one day I was down at the University of Washington and at the clinic, and it was a fantastic clinic because what they would do is they'd have a clinic, and it would coincide with their spring ball.
Oh,
So you
wow.
go, yeah, all the coaches would talk. So every positional coach would talk. So you're feverishly taking notes, and then you could go out and watch practice. So at that time, I would go all in different areas to hear the coaches, to see, different words, different keywords that they would have. And so that was a start. And then in the clinic, one of the clinic talks, one of the guys said, if you ever want to come down here, come down and, you could be in meetings and all that kind of stuff. And I went, okay. So I gave him a call and went down there, and the lady, she set me up. She said, what are you, offensive or defensive? And I said, well, I'm an offensive coach. She said, okay, we'll set you up in the offensive room. What do you want to see? Well, a couple of months earlier, I went down with a bunch of buddies of mine to see Oregon State against Washington. I said, how about that game? I went to that game. She said, okay. So she set me up in the offensive coordinator's room, and with the machine.
Mhm.
It was tapes back then, and we're sitting there, and so I'm press and play and all that there, forward and reverse on the machine, watching tape in the offensive coordinator's room. Well, the offensive coordinator came in,
Oh,
and he
wow.
said, yeah, and his name was Jeff Woodruff, and I don't know if you know who Don James is, but Jeff Woodruff was Don James is a god in the University of Washington. Jeff Woodruff was married his daughter, and he was the son-in-law. He came in, and it was so funny because he looked at me, and I could see he was like, "What the heck are you doing in here?" But he was really nice. I said, "Well, I'm a coach, and at that time I was only a Pee Wee coach." And I said, "I'm trying to learn." And he said, "Oh, okay." He said, "You need this," and he gave me the cowboy. And I'm sitting there, and I'm watching film with the cowboy, and I'm thinking, wow, this is pretty good. I think I'd like to do this. And that was, because before that it was just, hey, coaching the kids, loving it. It was so much fun, getting those kids better. Trying to make them feel like they're winners on the field.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it started to, okay. And then that's when it kind of started where I wanted to just keep on going. And that's what I did. I went from the Pee Wees to the pros. 1990 was the first when I started coaching, and then in 1999 I got asked to be a guest coach. In that time, like I went 4 years Pee Wee, 1 year Bantam, a year of high school, and then I coached 5 years at the University of British Columbia, which is in Vancouver. I don't know if you ever went to the campus, but it's a beautiful area. And
Yeah, I think we did
yeah,
visit at one point in time.
yeah. And we won a national championship in '97. We had 3 guys from that team try out in the NFL. They didn't make it, but at least they got to go to training camp.
Right.
And so obviously we had some pretty darn good talent. And then '99, Adam Rita, he was gone before you had got there.
Right.
He asked me, him and Joe Pau and Danny Barrett. And Danny Barrett is a coach now with the Houston Texans. They asked me, and they said, we would like you to be a guest coach. So I went there, and anybody who's listening, if you ever want some advice, you get that little crack in the door, you kick it open, and then work your butt off, and make sure that your personality isn't too, forceful, and
Right.
work your butt off. If they ask you, they never did, but if they ask you, Craig, go get some donuts for us and coffee, I would have done it, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't complain, just do
Absolutely.
whatever. And I had like I said, I worked in the computer room, and I was very familiar with computers, and so I went in there, and I, that really helped as well. So my computer, and then with regards to, gaining knowledge with regards to the game of football, I was a receiver coach, and then, when I was with the Lions, and the year that you were there, Wally asked me to help with the running backs. Remember Antonio Warren? He was one of our guys.
Antonio Warren.
Yeah, loved him. Lyle,
Absolutely.
yeah, Lyle Green, Darren Joseph,
Yeah.
just a bunch of
That's a
guys.
good group, man.
Oh, it was
That's a
fantastic.
good group.
We had such a good group, and that's kind of what happened. I just kept on working my way up, and the old hard work and getting the break. I was lucky enough when after the guest coach the next year, I was up for a receiver job. I didn't get it, but I said to the head coach at that time, I said, can I come out and can I volunteer my services? He said, absolutely. And that's another thing that, people are interested, doing stuff like that.
Volunteer work,
Also,
yeah.
you're not getting paid. It's so funny because for so long I kept going, and I thought, well, I wonder if I'm ever going to get paid doing this, always, hours and hours and hours. It eventually worked out, and it just, I was very fortunate, but you got to have that break. You got to get somebody that is on your side and give you that opportunity. And so I was fortunate in that respect.
Right. Right. So when did you cross over and kind of get into the front office
Yeah,
positions?
in 2000, I was offensive assistant quality control. This was after a year of guest coaching, and then I was on the staff, offensive assistant quality control, helping with the receivers. After that year, we won the Grey Cup, and Adam Rita, he came. He didn't even ask me, but he knew that I had called him a couple of years ago asking him about personnel, and how do you get into it. And he knew that, the work ethic that I had, and he said, after the year, we had a meeting with everybody, and he just said, I'm bringing Craig into personnel.
Hmm.
And that was 2001. And for the first little bit, I fought it because I wanted to be a coach in the
On the field.
CFL. I fought it, but there was an old guy that was kind of a mentor of mine. His name was Cal Murphy, and he has since passed on. But I had a lot of interaction with Cal, and I told him, I said, I'm still thinking about the coaching thing. And he said, you're crazy. He said, personnel is a really good place to be, and just go for it and do it. And, I thought about it, and so those coaching urges kind of calmed down, and I just kept on going. And so I was a player personnel coordinator, and then I got an opportunity in Hamilton to be the director of player personnel. And then after that, 3 years, came back to BC for 2, and then after that, I got an opportunity here. This is where we live right now in Regina, where it's cold in the winter. But I was the director of player personnel here for 6 years, and then
Awesome.
then I got let go there. 2 years with Winnipeg, and then leukemia hit. So I've been out of the game since then.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you um you definitely took us through a son, I'm trying to do an interview. My son wants to help me do an interview.
That's good. That's cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, you went through a lot, and we'll definitely yes.
Can you turn to the questions?
Well, when I'm done with Mr. Craig here, I'll come in there and I'll turn. But for now, Dad is busy right now. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Tell Mr. Craig hi.
Hi.
Hi there. How are you?
How are you?
How are you?
Good.
I'm good.
Good. Well, go ahead, man. Go into the room. Daddy'll be there after he's done. Okay. All right. Close the door behind you. Sorry about that.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. But yeah, so let's just talk specifically about 2004 at BC.
Yeah.
because that was really a golden moment for me. I was signed, like I said, by Bob Obilovich. Bob Obilovich, he signed me, and so I'm thinking I'm good. I got a contract. I'm good. I'm on the team. As a matter of fact, I'm a star. That was the, that was my perception. I had no idea that I had to make the team to play. I had no idea about practice roster or IR.
Yeah.
So I get signed and come to camp. You picked me up. I think you picked me up.
Yep.
My roommate at the time was running backs coach for the University of Alabama, Robert Gillespie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was my roommate.
Okay.
Yeah, so Rob G, so we called him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ended up getting released in camp. Um, but yeah, and just talk about I can just talk about camp. I'm a rookie. I just finished, my season at Liberty.
Yep.
Um, and Bobby Singh was my first one-on-one.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Now Bobby Singh had just got released from the Baltimore Ravens after they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so he was my very first one-on-one because I remember like it was yesterday.
Wow.
God bless the dead, Coach Harris. Man, he cussed me out. He cussed
Oh,
me
man.
out my first one-on-one. But I had to line up, do it again,
Yeah.
and I won that one. But just coming into an atmosphere like that, coming from a small school like Liberty, and being thrown into the fire like that, um, and just knowing that I had to sharpen my edge real fast. There was no time to adjust. You was either
Yeah.
good enough or you weren't. Um, and that year, man, it really helped me develop as a player. But it really kind of helped me see the business side of
Yeah.
football too. So let's talk about 2004. How did you guys put that team together? How did it all come together? And what were those office and player personnel conversations like? Give us an inside look into
Well,
that.
well, well, obviously Wally and Bob were the guys.
Right.
And, they were the two that put things together. Um, I was more involved in the Canadian college draft, and then there were a couple other guys. Casey Printers. I was sitting in my office, and I always watched the neg list, and I saw that Casey wasn't on the neg list, and I called Bob, and I said, Bob, Casey Printers is not on the neg list anymore. I think Saskatchewan might have had him.
Uh-huh.
And Bob said, okay, let's put him on. Bob was the guy. You had to go through Bob. But I took a lot of satisfaction in that, and noticing that, and then getting Casey, on the neg list. And the neg list is a list of, at that time, it was 30 players. And if you had him on your list, you had exclusive rights to that player. And
Right.
so that would have, we did that. And then, of course, they got him, and that year he was the most outstanding player. Yeah, with such a great player on the field. Just him, and I don't know if you remember Frank Catolo.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember Frank. Yeah, he was
yeah,
a slot receiver, small
yeah,
receiver. Yeah.
yeah. A smaller receiver, played at Eastern Illinois. Tony Romo was his quarterback, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and so those guys used to come to my office, and we'd have a chat, talk about different things, and it was great, just fantastic for those guys to come up and just we talk about a lot of stuff, and
Right.
that's the big thing, is to what it's like. I mean, when you're a professional athlete, there's a lot of pressure,
Oh yeah.
and so you got to try to make it right for the athletes, and so we had a lot of really good. I give Bob and Wally credit. I mean, we put together one guy that I was responsible for, and you're gonna laugh. A guy by the name of Marcus McFadden. You- I knew you were, I knew you would laugh, but yeah, I saw him. Yeah, I enjoyed his film, and he played at Auburn, he did a hell of a job for us,
Right.
but there were some issues there, and I remember. I don't know how much I want to get into stuff like that, but let's just say there was some issues, But
Oh yeah.
yeah, he was a heck of a player. I mean, that kid could play, but
Yeah.
it was a different situation, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the run. I mean, we had. It's funny because that year, Wally came up to me in training camp and he said, "Craig, I want you to help with the running backs. I want you to get on Antonio, keep him on his game, and just help him with stuff." And so I did, and I kind of fought that because remember I was saying, I wanted to be a coach, and then I was okay, and then now that they're telling me to get back, but it
Yeah.
was good. It was a good group of guys. Mark Nora was another guy that actually played on our team. He was one of the guys that went to the NFL.
I
He was
remember
one of
Nora. Yeah.
yeah, and he actually got hurt, so he was kind of out of the picture. But we had a good group, and I helped with the running backs, and it was cool because Antonio at that time he ran for the most yards in the Grey Cup that year in 2004. I kind of wish we would have given the Rock more, but
Yeah.
yeah, Antonio was a hell of a back, and
Now,
so
how did you guys? So I know, so Dave Dickinson was he was the starting quarterback, but he had gotten hurt,
yeah,
and had a knee procedure before camp started.
yeah.
Um, Now, was he slated to be the starter once he got healthy? And then how did you guys navigate that? Because Casey, I think he started the season off and got hot, blazing hot. And then
Yeah.
how did you guys navigate that? Because
I wasn't in those conversations.
okay,
With regards to Wally was the guy. Wally would make all those decisions.
right.
I know that when I was walking, and nothing against Dave, because Dave's a hell of a
Oh
quarterback.
yeah. Oh heck yeah.
When our offense was kind of, I mean, it's so funny because we drove the ball down, scored on the first drive. It was 7-0 before you know it, and then we stalled. And but we ran the ball, and we stalled. And when I was walking on the third quarter, I was just thinking in my mind, is he going to put Casey in? Just for a change,
Yeah.
because Casey and Dave were two different
Two
quarterbacks.
different. We're talking about Dave
Yeah,
Dickinson, University of
Dave Dickinson,
Montana.
University of Montana. Yeah, he was a star at the University of
Oh yeah.
Montana. And the kid, the other fellow that we're talking about is Casey Prentice. He
Casey
started with
Prentice,
TCU. Yeah,
TCU.
started. He played with LaDainian Tomlinson,
Yep, was his
and then
quarterback. Yep.
I'm not sure what happened there, but he went over to Florida A&M, finished off his college there, and then he came up with us, and he lit it up. I mean, he was something. Again, I helped getting him to Hamilton as well. When I moved
I
over to
remember that.
Hamilton,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I helped get him over there. So that was it was kind of frustrating. We lose the Grey Cup, and we think that we certainly had the team that we could have done it. Toronto was a darn good team, and they played well that day, and that's the bottom
That
line.
day, they played
Yeah,
well that day, which is the
very
key.
much. Yeah,
Um,
very much.
but that's the difference between high school and college and the pros. Um, you can be. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, you can be a Grey Cup Super Bowl contender all through the year. But if the other team is better than you that day, that's all. That's all they need is be better than you that particular night, and it's ball game.
Yeah, it's funny because in the year 2000 and the year 2001, there were two teams that were 8-10 during the season, but were fortunate enough to make the playoffs. And both years, those teams went on to win the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
with
I
that,
remember talking with Antonio. I think Antonio was on that team. Deshaun, I forgot what his last name, was a corner on that team, and Otis Floyd. He was on that team that won the Grey Cup. I remember hearing them talk about that experience. They just got hot at the right
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Um,
And
you know,
we did the same in 2000. We just got hot, and we were kind of the best team in the last 4 games of the year,
yeah,
and we did that. And Otis Floyd, that's probably one of the better there's two guys that I always say, James West and Otis Floyd are two of the better linebackers that I've ever seen.
Oh,
play in
Otis
our league.
Floyd was
Yeah.
he was-
Woo. Otis was. Now you mentioned a fellow by the name of Richard Harris. Richard was he played at Grambling and was a first round pick. I think he was like 27th overall or something like that, of the
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles. And he was one of my better friends, and I kicked myself in the ass for not calling him more.
I
But you
do
know how-
too. I do too, Craig.
Yeah, you know
Um,
how it is when a guy's a coach, you know he's busy. And you know, to give him a call, you thought, he's I really kicked myself in the ass because he passed away in 2011. And I've never met anybody like him, you know, such
No.
a generous. He was an athlete. He could turn it on when he caught, you know what I mean? But
Right.
he was like a big teddy bear and just an amazing, one of the best people that I've ever met.
Oh yeah, I would say you and Coach Harris are probably the most genuine people I've met in professional athletics.
Well, I appreciate that. But,
Oh
you know,
yeah, but it's true though. Me and Coach
Yeah.
Harris would actually go out to dinner
Yeah.
during the season because his wife was in Seattle. It was just
Yeah.
him and I was
Yeah.
of course single. I was the youngest on the team, youngest American on the team at 22.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a family. So he was
And
just picking.
Richard, every year, when he was there, he always said, "Craig, come with me with my defensive lineman for breakfast."
Yeah,
Remember,
we used to go to breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah, used to. And I said, Richard, I can't. And then when he was in Winnipeg, we went there. We went to Winnipeg and we stayed at his place. And he said, "You know him, you're coming."
Right.
Okay. So I went. The Bomber defensive line was there, and so I went there, and it was a treat. It was just but he always used to take his guys.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
took care of his guys. Brent Johnson, yourself, Ty. How about do you keep in contact with Tyrone Williams?
I don't. Dante Booker.
Oh,
We don't talk. We don't talk on a normal basis, but I know what he's doing. We Facebook friends.
Yeah.
And we may message each other every now and then.
good, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's so funny. That was a guy that I I brought him in, got him in, and Adam used to like when guys came in during the mid season, he would get one-on-ones with an offensive lineman, and so Tyrone, he went one-on-one with, I think it was Harden.
Mhm.
You remember Steve Harden? You remember how big Steve Harden was? He was probably 350, and
Tyrone was
Huge.
whew.
Tyrone just took Steve and just went like that and just
Oh,
flew out of the way. And we just looked at each other and went, "Wow."
Tyrone had a SWAT, man.
Yeah.
He had a SWAT. It wouldn't come from far, but that SWAT was so powerful and so strong. It was ridiculous. I seen him murder a lot of offensive linemen with that SWAT.
Yeah. Yep.
Woo.
Yep. Yeah. You think about the talent we had on defense. The corners. You remember the first
yeah.
game we lost to Hamilton, and our corners, Dante and
Sam Young.
Yeah, they both had tough, but Wally stuck with them, and they were excellent corners for the whole year. I mean, and Carl Kidd,
Kidd.
Yeah, that was one of the better Sams that I've ever seen. I mean, he was incredible.
Oh yeah. And
Guy who had been in the NFL. He was with Minnesota, Oakland. Back when at that time, and just an amazing player. We had loads of ability. It was pretty cool.
yeah, this is defense and G Roy, which I know he's in DC right now.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to interview him coming up soon.
Yeah, that would be great. So G-Roy, you talk to G-Roy and you would never think that he was one of the better receivers.
Humble. Man, one of the most
Unbelievable.
humble professional players that I've ever come in contact with.
We got him. Brendan Tammon signed him to come over to Saskatchewan in 2013, and he was kind of the glue that put it all together.
Right.
Like that, a leader, and he helped us, scored 2 touchdowns in the Grey Cup, and then amazing. And then the next year, he he stayed and he was done playing, but he got into some personnel. So I would travel with him. We'd go and we went up to the East Coast and travel. It was incredible. All the people, everybody and their dog knew G-Roy. Everybody and their dog loved G-Roy. And I remember being at a practice and one kid wanted to throw the football to G-Roy, to say he threw the football to G-Roy. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
That guy.
He's for certain a CFL Hall of Famer.
Yeah, absolutely.
First ballot, first ballot.
No doubt.
Um,
No doubt.
and also keep in contact with Dante Marsh. He was my roommate during the season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
supposed to get together on tomorrow, so hopefully we can make that happen.
I
And
love
talk
that
about,
guy. I love that guy. He's a very
yeah.
special guy. Yeah. And you know what I like? How much he's helping kids to
Oh
get
yeah,
better.
yeah,
Yeah. Like
yeah,
he works to get kids better. And I love that.
yeah. And you talk about a technician. The guy would technique you to death, but he's also gifted athletically too. So it's just the best
Well,
of both.
you see, that's the thing with regards to the Canadian Football League. Like he was in Tennessee, and you know, in the NFL, it's this guy or this guy. This guy makes it. This guy doesn't. And that
Right.
was, Ante obviously, he got let go. He came up. Hell of a player. Same with
Yeah.
G-Roy. G-Roy was in Kansas City. G-Roy was up against a fellow by the name of Dante Hall, a kid from Texas A&M.
Mm.
They kept Dante Hall and G-Roy. We had a scout there with a good report on G-Roy, and so he had been in our league before,
Right.
but he's still trying to stay on top of stuff. He's still okay. Can he still play and all that? So our scout had a good report. I take a little, not credit, but I was involved in that, trying to get him. He wanted to play in BC, and I kept on bugging our guys. We got to sign him. We got to sign him. And G-Roy almost. He was on get this. He was on a plane, and you can ask him about this, to go to Hamilton,
Mm.
and probably going to sign a contract there.
Mm.
9/11 happened. So
Oh,
yeah, so he didn't go, and we finally signed him. And of course,
talk about
the rest,
divine intervention.
it's amazing. It's totally amazing. Just 9/11. I was, because I picked you up. I picked up players. 9/11, I was picking up 3 players. Adriano Belli. I don't know if you remember him.
I don't know.
Yeah. Brent Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was coming from Columbus. And then another fellow by the name of Sir Parker, who was a running back from Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, definitely remember that name, Sir Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to pick all those guys up, and then all of a sudden 9/11 happened. And,
Wow.
Belly got to the airport. They sent him back. Brent got on a flight and got to Minneapolis. That was it. Couldn't go any further. And Sir Parker called me, and he said, "Well, you know what? They're not letting us on the plane." And of course, I knew what the heck was going on. I said, "Yeah, sir, you're not going to get out today. There's issues." I told them all that, but it was just a crazy, crazy day. We're bringing 3 guys in, and no, it's just crazy stuff.
So talk about your experiences. So you're pretty much responsible for just going to NFL camps and just
Yeah,
talk about that experience.
yeah. Well, there's a calendar, and the calendar it starts at the end of our year. You kind of take a couple days off, but then you get after it. What I would do is I would go down. We had a small place in Texas. Yep. So, and I would go down there. I would work out of there, have the internet. I could fly out of there. But what I would do is go down there in December, and it would be all bowl games, and then it would get into that would be in December, and then a little bit of January. Then the All-Star games. So you're going to all practices and stuff like that. And you're trying to keep a book on a lot of the guys. And then from there, there's a little time. And then we get into the Canadian stuff. We get into we would have combines just like the NFL combine, but we would have 4 combines, regional ones. One would be in Edmonton, one would be in Toronto, one would be in Quebec, somewhere in Montreal or Quebec City. and then they'd have the big one after all of that, and it would be in Toronto. And so all the scouts would go all right throughout the Canada, and we'd see probably about 300 kids, Canadian kids, we have a draft just like in the NFL, but it's just for Canadian
Canadians.
kids.
Right.
So then after that, we'd have our free agent camps where we go down and we'd get people and we, a lot of times we get sometimes we'd have to say, listen, we can't work you out. We just have too many people, or we can't give you a real good look. So we'd have to limit it. And then after that, bang, you're into the draft, our draft, then training camp. And then during training camp, obviously we could be traveling to see preseason games, to see players that might possibly get cut that you like. And then it's into the NFL training.
Now, do you have an inside scoop on that? Are you talking to the GMs or assistant GMs and they're telling you he's on the fence, he's a tweener? Are you guys having
for the NFL?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
We before we go in, like I've had as from 8 to 12 teams. So I'd call everybody and we'd have a guy that we would deal with, not the GM usually. The GM would come over, but usually it was either director of pro scouting, assistant director of pro scouting.
Right.
And then we would talk to them and, we would sit and, okay, who's your bubble guys? So, and then we, take a look and then obviously go there. A lot of the places would allow us to watch film. So we get in there. I mean, the most I ever watched film, I think, was 7 hours at the New York Giants facility.
Good gracious.
Yeah. You just sit there and just say, it's great. And take a look and then we'd have, depending on what team, it could be between the team that I was with, could be in between 20 and 30 guys per team. So you think about all that, there's a lot of players. And then, you would go to preseason games as well. So the whole combination of talking with their personnel, going to practice, taking your notes, watching film, and then watching preseason game. Now, the last couple of years, the CFL has been allowed to have the NFL preseason games. Before, it was hit and miss with regards to that. So it makes it really good so that we could sit down and watch preseason and just take a look at, okay, these are the guys that I looked at. Let's look and see what he does in games, in preseason games. And then during the year, when I was with with Saskatchewan, Brendan would allow me to go right across the country. So I would pretty much go to every Canadian school. I think there's 28 of them now. And, go to and talk with the head coaches. They'd allow us into practice. And so that would be the start of for our Canadian draft for the year after. So you can see that the whole year is all, it's all sectioned off and just with regards to different things. So, and I did that. I started in 2003. Wally was the first guy. Before that, I was in the office and, doing stuff like that. I would do a little bit of the college stuff in Canada. And then I would do pro days when I first started doing it. So I go to Oregon State, Washington State. I went to Idaho, do some pro days there, which was good. It was a good, valuable experience. Again, the whole thing is networking. You're trying to people, going to the scene like the Senior Bowl, East West Shrine. There's so many different NFL guys there and agents and stuff like that. So you're meeting people, you're networking, you're trying to, give me your card and all that kind of stuff, just so you can have that, so you can get in touch with people, and that, that's the bottom line. And
does the travel ever wear you down?
Yeah. But I was a travel hound.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and my wife was sometimes, like, if she wasn't working, sometimes she'd hop in the car, depending on where I was, depending on what team I was with and the location geographically. She'd come with me, and so, but travel can get to you, and that obviously, if I have regrets, I think it's the neglect that I had with my health.
Yeah, right.
Just being on the road and I regret that. I regret
Yeah.
not taking care of myself a little more. And who knows why you get leukemia. But you know, I got it, and you know, if I could have been better, but that's even before. That's even before the you know, getting into traveling and stuff like that with football. But that, you know what, it's all water under the bridge, and
Oh
you know,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
nothing I can
good.
do about that.
Yeah, it's
But
good to see you doing as well as you are now. It really
well, thank
is. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
And you know, travel, it's so funny because I always tell people this is, I was always a Marriott guy. It's funny, Wally was the guy. Yeah, Craig, you know him. Craig, you gotta stay at Marriott, so you
Right.
get points. So okay, so I
You sound
started.
just like him.
Yeah. He'd probably be mad at me for doing that, but um, he uh, he told me, and it was a very smart thing. Wally was a very intelligent guy with regards to the game of football and all that,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
know, I learned a lot from Wally. But you know, he told me to start staying at Marriott's and you get points. Well, I did, and you know, if I go to my you know, on my account, I stayed at 5 years of my life. I stayed at a Marriott property. So
Ooh, 5 years.
so think about tomorrow going to a Marriott and you're there for 5 years straight. So
That's a
you
lot
know,
of travel, Craig.
oh yeah, it's a
Jeez.
lot of travel. You know, some of the time I probably would be gone 6 months of the year. You
Yeah.
know, so but yeah, that does wear you down, and you know, especially the last couple of years when the health was kind of going, you kind of wonder why. You know, I'm more tired now. What's going on? And, you know, obviously there was a reason for it, but
Yeah.
you know, they just keep on going, just keep on living, and you know, one day at a time.
Yeah. Now talk about so Saskatchewan, that was in I think it was in 2013, 12 or 13 or 14. You're in Saskatchewan. You guys win the Grey Cup.
Yeah,
Um,
2013.
2013, yeah. Because I'm watching. I'm coaching at a community college in Kansas, and so I'm keeping track of you guys, and you guys are
Yeah,
killing it. You win the Grey Cup that year, and then the next year, I don't think
in,
things were quite the same. Talk
injuries.
about
In
injuries.
Yeah,
Injuries.
we had some injuries. And I think it was 2014 where our first game we lost 6 players due to injury.
Ooh
And
wee.
yeah, and our quarterback was one. Now, you know, both years, 2014 and 2015, we had injuries, and but I think 14 was the one where, well, I'm pretty sure it was 14 where we lost 6 players, and it was, so that was tough. And
Right.
then I think was it I think it was that year where we lost our second string quarterback, Kevin Glenn. You know, because
Kevin Glenn.
we lost Darian, who was you know, an all-star, and Kevin Glenn, you know, he's been in the league for so
Right.
long, has been so good. You know, so then we were going with guys that you know, it was tough. It was a very tough year, and we did make the playoffs, but we started off. Really, I don't. It's all foggy because I think that year, maybe it wasn't that year where we got the first game where we got all those injuries, but we started off very well. And I remember, you know, our GM saying, "I think we're better than last year."
Mm.
You know, I can't. You know, I think we were something like 8-2, and then all of a sudden the injury started, and then that was a difficult thing. You know,
Man, you talk about a long year. So a CFL season, two preseason games, and 18 regular season schedule, and then
yeah,
you have the playoffs.
yeah,
Now I had just finished playing 11 games, so I
yeah,
went from 11 games
yeah,
to 20. So it's two preseason, 18 regular season, and we had 2 or 3 playoff games. So you're looking at 21 games.
yeah,
I was just a practice roster guy, and
yeah,
I was exhausted
yeah.
um, by the time the season was over.
Yeah,
Um,
it's tough, you know. You know, and you look at the Canadian kids. You know, they have 8 games. They have an 8 game
oh,
season.
what?
Yeah, they have an 8 game season, and then all of a sudden they're coming in and they're playing 18 the next year. You know, so it's a shock. There's certainly a shock. But and you know, that's the thing about a rookie. You know, well, previously in the NFL, you'd have 4 preseason games. So you'd have more of an opportunity. And that's the way it was years ago. There used to be 4 preseason games in the CFL, but
Right.
then they cut it down to increase the amount for the regular season to 18. It's very difficult for a rookie to come in and try to make the team, because just with the 2 preseason games, and that last preseason game, they're kind of trying to get starters a little bit sharp. So
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of time to try to make the team. It's a difficult thing, but that's the reality. That's the way it is.
I was very blessed. I was. I really felt like I felt like I had to play like I was going home every day. So every day was a tryout.
Yeah,
Even practice, and being a practice roster guy, there's no guarantee from week to week. And the way those guys are rotating in, new people coming in, and they were coming and
yeah,
going.
yeah,
I seriously felt like uh, I was trying out every day.
yeah.
Um,
It's a difficult way. I mean, that's not easy. It's not easy. And but you know it's pro football.
yeah,
And you had mentioned about business, and I hate that a lot of it with regards to that. It's a difficult thing. I mean, I remember in 2001, Adam, the GM, said to me, "Well, we're going to get you to cut guys," and I went, "Okay." And I was okay. And he said, so funny. He sat me down and said, "Well, we'll get you to cut guys, and we'll get you to do contracts." And I'm in the back of my mind going, "Already?" you know. And then it was like the next week, he said, "Okay, I want you to cut this guy." And my heart sunk, and so I went, and the first guy I cut, I handed him the paperwork, and he said he started to cry. He cried. He was crying as he was signing, and the tears were. Oh, it was it was tough. It was so
yeah,
tough.
yeah,
And that was it. Like he never played ever again. I mean, the kid could run, and he had a bad year, a bad day. I mean, we played Hamilton, and he had a tough day, and that was it. He was cut. So I mean, he showed to make the team,
yeah.
and then they just decided no. And you know what it's like. I mean, it's a difficult thing.
It's all got to come to an end at some point in time.
Yeah,
You just don't know
yeah.
when.
You don't know
Unfortunately,
when. You never know when. That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. So, you actually win the Grey Cup, 2019 with Winnipeg, correct?
I wasn't with Winnipeg yet in, two-
Okay.
in, yeah, in 2017. Leukemia hit.
Uh,
It's funny, not funny, haha, funny, weird. Um, I did the NFL scouting. I was tired. Never thought anything of it. And then came home, had a couple days at home, and then my last NFL assignment was to go to Denver to scout Denver and Arizona. So I hopped on a plane from Regina to Calgary, Calgary to Denver. I woke up that morning and I said Kathy was at work, and I called her and I said, you know what, for 25 cents, I wouldn't go. She said, "Well, don't go," because I didn't feel good. And I said, "You know what? It's all set up. It's bought and paid for. I'm going to go. What I'll do is I'll go to the airport, see how I feel. If I feel good, I'll hop on the plane." So I got to the airport and I felt, you know what? No, I'm okay.
right.
And then I flew. I got to Calgary. Wasn't feeling the best. Then, got on the plane to go to Denver, and didn't feel good at all. And that was kind of the start. And I was worth absolutely nothing going to that game that night. It was just it was tough. I was coughing, and I was just not. It wasn't good. And I left it the third quarter of a preseason game. Never, ever done that. And went back, and then flew back, got tests, and eventually, went to the specialist, and he went into my back, into the hip part, took cells out, and then, called me into the office and said, "Bad news, you got leukemia."
Oh,
So
wow.
that
Wow.
was just the, just, yeah, that's what you're dealt with. And
Yeah.
first words out of my mouth, okay, is it curable? You see, the night before, the day before, he called and said, I want you to come into the office with your wife. I went, bad news, doc. And he said, come in, we'll talk. So at that night when I was sleeping, I was thinking, please don't let it be one of those fast track cancer that's you're gone in 6 months. And then when he told me that, and my first words were, okay, is it curable? He said, oh yeah. He said, they've got good medicines nowadays. Um, I give you 80% chance. I said, okay, let's go.
Wow.
I said,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
he said, I'm glad you said that because you're going into the hospital today and you're getting chemo tomorrow. And that was the start of it. That was the start.
And you had that stem cell
Yeah,
transplant.
and I had to have a stem cell transplant. The donor was like a twin. So that was the whole deal. But yeah, so that was 2017. So I couldn't finish my what I started with Winnipeg, and yeah, it's just the way it went.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Craig, listen, I'm so thrilled to see you active on Twitter, Instagram. Um, just seeing your face and seeing you still active with sports. You're a very avid sports fan, and I love it. Um,
Appreciate it.
yeah, man, I just think you're just one of those people who just don't come around often. As far as your heart, you're just a genuine guy. I can't say it enough about you, or else I wouldn't be attracted to you enough to do this interview. But I really do hold you in very high esteem.
Thank you.
You just one of those 100 genuine guys. And I hope and pray that you get healed and you come back 100% health. But before we go, so I know the CFL didn't play last year due to COVID. But give me your pick for this year.
It's good. It's very difficult
Right, I know
to
it is. I'm putting you on the
yeah,
spot.
yeah, but Hamilton Tiger Cats, they've been knocking on the door for so many years now.
Right,
They could be the team. Toronto has signed a lot of guys. It's almost like an all-star team. Winnipeg is the defending champs. They have lost 3 or 4 guys on the defense. So if they can replace those guys,
So when he's
quarterbacking is the key. And there's some quarterbacks in the league that to me could lead. You never can count Calgary out. BC, Michael Riley, he's a heck of a quarterback, and so it's going to be good. And where I'm living right now, Saskatchewan Roughriders, they've got a lot of positive things going with regards to them. So I can't pick a winner, but there's definitely teams that it's going to be so cool to see CFL football back.
right.
Like since I was 6 years old, I've been following this and loved it, and I've been very proud to be 19 years in the Canadian Football League, and I can hardly wait. August 5th it can't come fast enough.
Yeah.
First game is Hamilton and Winnipeg, and that's a rematch of the Grey Cup. So we'll see exactly what's cooking there.
All right. One thing about that Rider Nation, they travel. Ooh, don't matter where they play, they travel.
Yeah, yeah. I always say it's like Green Bay.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's a fair comparison.
Yeah. Well, I used to go to the American Football Coaches Association convention and fly, and it would be at the same time as the playoffs.
Right.
And you'd go and you wouldn't believe how many Green Bay jerseys you'd be seeing because they'd be in the playoffs. At that time was Brett Favre.
Right.
And they certainly travel, and that's like here. They love their football. They've got an unbelievable stadium here. I've been to so many NFL stadiums, and this one's it's only 33,000. So obviously it's not like the way it is in the NFL.
Right.
But as far as the facilities go, it's top notch. Like it's right up there, and that's the way it is in the CFL. There's a lot of new stadiums. Great facilities. They've modified BC Place. It's a little different.
Really?
Yeah, it's got a different roof now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's new stadiums kind of all over the place. Calgary's kind of the only one. I always liked going to Calgary though. It was it's been a pretty good place. But yeah, a lot of new stadiums. hopefully we can, get this league back and get
I
it
hope
going.
so. I really do. Really,
Yeah.
really fun league. I wish more people would, would be more active with watching the CFL, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. I'm
Hopefully,
talking about mainly here in the
yeah,
States.
yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you'll be able to, hopefully they'll have it on ESPN or
Oh,
ESPN2 or
whenever they do, I
ESPN.
watch. Yeah,
Yeah,
most definitely. Whenever
yeah.
they do, I
Hope-
watch.
Hopefully they've got that going again this year so people down in the States can do that. It's a little difficult now because a lot of times people would watch from when our training camp, when we first started in June, and then, ease in. They would watch probably till August where this NFL training camp starts. So it's a little different now, but hopefully they'll be able to see a game or two, something like that. It's a fun brand of football for sure. And I'm really looking forward to the NFL camps.
Oh,
We'll be,
absolutely.
yeah, we'll be watching the NFL Network a
Yeah, I
great
know
deal.
you will be.
Yeah, they've got all the preseason games, so I'll be watching. It should be a lot of fun.
Cool. All right. Well, Craig, I definitely thank you for all your time. It's been a blessing. We got to connect some more, especially as the season gets going out there in the CFL. I
Absolutely.
love to know your thoughts, how the season is playing out and the different teams start to separate. I definitely want to get your take on the season as we get going. All right.
Absolutely, and you know what? We can talk NFL. We can talk
Oh yeah.
college,
Okay. Cool. Cool. I'm gonna
college
take you
football.
up on your offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd really love it. Thank you. Hey, Aaron, thank you so much for the kind words, and thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, and all the best to you. And maybe if we can get traveling again, we could go to Miguel's for some Mexican food on Kennedy there.
Come on, man. Come on down. Come
Yeah,
on. Come on.
sounds
Bring you
good.
and your wife. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can kick it. We can kick
All
it.
right.
Cool.
Sounds
All
good.
right, Craig. You have a great rest of your day. Tell your wife I said hello. God
Absolutely.
bless you both, and have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. Right back at you. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.